Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the ultimate Cleveland sports show. Along with G. Bush, Tyvis Powell, I'm Adam the Bull. We've got Mike. We've got Steve. We've got, I was about to say, is Anthony not here today?
He called out sick. He had a migraine this morning.
All of a sudden, I was like, wait a second. I didn't see Anthony this morning.
Man.
How did I, I guess
he's doing all right, though. He said he's feeling a little better since we talked this morning.
Shoot, I forgot to get a water from you, Mike, and now we're into the show.
Now you dry.
None of us have waters. I got a dry throat.
You dry
Hold
out
on, I'll get you water.
All right. Director Steve getting the water.
Wow.
Hey, man. Hey,
Talk about a first time.
Should I change cameras?
We spent the last 15 minutes before the show talking about, things we can't share on the air, but we talked about being a team player. Thank you, Steve. There you go.
I appreciate that, man. Oh, that was an option pitch right there. Like,
there you go. And now Mike changing the cameras
and by the way, is them a new pair of Concords?
These?
Yeah,
I got these the gratitudes.
No, I mean, but did you get those recently?
Yeah.
I got them when they came out with last year.
Oh, you tucked them. He tucked them.
I didn't tuck them. I wore them a couple times.
Now let me ask you guys a question. This is an important etiquette question from my son. Mm-hmm. So, at his age, obviously, he's growing like crazy. Mm-hmm. So remember, I bought him those Jordans.
Yeah, you got them the ones, right? The low ones.
So I bought him those. I don't know, 6 months ago, whatever that was.
Okay.
Well, he already grew out of them. So we went to the store, same store, and he wanted the exact same Jordans.
Man, let me.
So I got them for him with a bigger size.
Come on, baby boo.
We got to switch it up.
Baby,
you got a bad choice.
Baby boo. Let me talk to you. I know I ain't seen you in a while, man. But here's what
he'll be in a couple of weeks.
I ain't seen you in a while. You got what I need you to do. You're a burgeoning actor. Yeah. You're a dude out here that's in these streets, man. The girls is about to be on you here in a couple of seconds. Mm-hmm. You already well past your age. Diversify your portfolio, baby boo. Listen, your dad is making good money. You should be hitting him up every week. Let me negotiate for you. Like in our community, they have to bribe us to behave in school. Like you be good, you don't get suspended, and don't talk back. We give you multiple pairs of J's. You're getting fleeced here. You're going to school. You're in extracurriculars. It's only you. They ain't got no money to spend on nobody else. Where they spending the money at? And Bull's definitely not buying no gear. No. So he has it in the budget. Let me talk to you, son. I'll hit you up later.
I guess I shouldn't let him watch this. I don't know.
No, you should.
Well, he's like, hold on.
The fact of the matter is as your foot grows, typically what you do is you think about that pair that you had. Well, it's different. Like for me, growing up, I always wanted the Flu Game 12s because when I was a little kid, I had the Flu Game 12s. Right. Problem is, I never had the money to get the Flu Game 12s because they was expensive. Sure. When they came back out, when I got to the league, the first thing I bought was the Flu Game 12s because it was like a motivational thing. Aaron don't got that right now. Now that I sit here and think about that, because his dad can get it.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
his dad can get that.
Like for me, it's sincere. Like I almost had to have I had a conversation with my wife. Like, hey, listen, man, do not get in the way of me and my happiness. This is.
I don't like to go crazy though. Like listen, I'm not filthy rich. And I don't want to spoil him. I like to get, I want him to have nice things, but I don't want to. There's a line. You don't want to spoil your kid.
These J's hasn't been $200, right? They like 110. The lows is like 150.
I think I paid 140.
Light.
Okay, that's
something like that.
That's about to go on, right? Yeah. That's about to go on, right?
Light. That is so light. Hey,
stop it, because you try. It's not like he getting on gold or StockX or anything like that. Listen, that's when he get on there. That's when you like, hey, you talking $300, $400, $500.
Hey, he doing pretty. Look, that's what I'm saying. He's doing pretty good.
150. You can go to if you can still go get it out the store.
Yeah.
That's great.
I was the oldest of two. So when I was working up, when I was working, they put me in as like an adult right up underneath them. Like, so they used to be like, just to deter me from asking for stuff, they used to ask me, they bring me to the budget meetings. They'd be like, yeah, bring your big self in here. See, you know how to add. This is called electric. This is called rent. This is called gas. And this is groceries. You pick 4 out of the 5.
Yeah.
Which one? 4 out of the 5. Which one do you want to have? Which one don't you don't want to have?
Yeah, right.
And looking at you, it's probably food is in the budget. So here's what we're gonna. I'm like, that's a good tactic, man. You know, grew up with a reality.
Oh,
that's
man.
true.
Oh, shout out to FanDuel. Y'all know I hit my parlay last.
You and Earl hit the parlays.
Earl hit a parlay last night.
How many legs?
Man, Earl hit.
Mine was like 10. Hold on, let me look.
Earl hit
was it on the Cavs game?
No, actually. Games? This what happened.
Yeah.
I actually put it on it was on the Lakers versus Suns. Put it it was about to start, so I hurry up and just put one together, and then I didn't. I woke up this morning and checked. Sure enough, I hit it. Was
when you hear that, when you see that little green sign under that
10-leg parlay, $10 paid out $1,159.76.
And you only bet like $5.
I bet 10.
10.
I'm trying to.
10 on the 10
Damn, that's a
leg.
nice win right there.
That's what I'm saying. I'm good. I'm good for a while.
Wow, Mike, we got a FanDuel read? That would be good timing right now.
Yeah, we do a FanDuel read. I'm going to wait, though. We got a bunch of FanDuel tickets submitted to us after the Browns win on Sunday. We haven't been doing the reads because it's a little convoluted with this new social news desk system on his tag board, but we got a bunch of tickets, and keep sending them in. We'll get back to that in a little bit. But before we jump into the Cavs, who are 4-0, before we get to the Browns, you had some Ohio State thoughts you wanted to get off your chest, Bull.
I just got to say that I'm sick of the Ryan Day apologists. And I'm not just saying this to give Tyvus a hard time. It's not that you're a Ryan Day apologist. Ohio State, and I know things have changed with NIL. Mm-hmm. Ohio State still has more money than probably almost more support and more money than almost every university, if not every university, right?
You would think.
They print bread.
There are probably more Ohio State fans that have money than almost any college fan base, if not every fan base in the country. So I don't want to hear about NIL. Ohio State, when I moved to this area, before moving here, I didn't give a rat's ass about college football. Mm-hmm. I never met it. Growing up in New York City, no, I don't know about now, but when I was a kid in New York City, I didn't have a single friend that watched college football. Nobody. It was completely off the radar.
Basketball was y'all.
Yeah, it was college basketball. That's what we watched. We watched Big East basketball. There was no New York team. We didn't give a damn about Syracuse football. Nobody cared. We don't even. If you ask people from New York City, half of them don't even know Syracuse is in New York.
Harrison, Donovan McNabb.
What's that?
Marvin Harrison, Donovan McNabb.
We didn't give a crap. Syracuse might as well have been Cleveland. Okay,
Syracuse is kind of far from New York, too.
Yeah, very far. Nobody gave a crap. Everything north of the Bronx is not New York. That's how people in New York City feel.
Okay.
It's New York City and then New York State. We don't care about the rest of New York.
And then Jersey, right?
And then Jersey separate. Now, I say that because when I moved to Ohio, obviously I started experiencing what it was like. And I went to a small Division III school. We had a good team for Division III, but the games weren't that crowded. There was maybe 2,000 people at a game. Mm-hmm. And then I moved here, and one of my first years here, I went with Dustin to a Buckeye game. Got to be on the field.
Go Bucks.
It was cool. They were playing at Akron or Miami of Ohio. It was a terrible game.
What year was this?
2013, maybe.
Oh, I was there.
Yeah, you might have been there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There.
You probably were. I remember we were chatting.
2013, Miami of Ohio was our first game.
You probably were there.
Actually, that was 2012, Miami of Ohio.
Maybe it was 2012. Might have been. It was either 12, 13, or 14.
Devin Smith had the crazy one-hand catch.
It was a blowout, right? I think they scored a field goal first, and then you guys scored 50 points in a row or something.
I think it was something like that.
They had a guy named Turner Nande. He used to play for Miami in 2012. He's a linebacker.
Was he any good?
Yeah, he's pretty good. They got smoked, though, by Ohio State. Yeah. Just keep him pushing.
Go ahead.
But what I learned quickly was Ohio State is it's in its own category. You're a blue blood of college football.
Yeah.
So you will not be held to standards of regular college football teams. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the people who apologize for Ryan Day are talking about him as if he's coaching at Indiana or Illinois or Iowa. Those schools are just random schools. Mm-hmm. They're meaningless in the big picture of college football. Ohio State is held to a certain standard, to me, where you have to win a high percentage of your games against other excellent teams. Not everyone, but a high percentage. And you have to destroy everybody else. And they don't do that. Like, Nebraska.
They've been doing that.
Nebraska sucks. They lost by 50 to Indiana.
I think that's the problem right there. I think the fact that they lost to Indiana so bad that everybody just assumed that Ohio State's a better team than Indiana. They got more talent, so they should completely run away with it. But you got to remember, one, Nebraska has a really good rush defense. And Ohio State just lost their left tackle, so they haven't been able to run the ball. So that was a big thing. Up until they played Indiana, Nebraska didn't give up a rushing touchdown on the entire season.
Who did they play?
I'm just saying.
But
they played actually some good competition. They just haven't
Ohio. I don't want to hear about the left tackle being hurt at Ohio State. Ohio State's fourth string left tackle should be the fourth best left tackle in America. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but he should be good enough.
Not with NIL.
Why?
They got the most money in NIL.
Because nowadays with NIL, so the thing is, trust me, I've done it.
Yeah.
So what happens is you offer a kid, let's say you offer a kid $200,000.
Yeah.
Okay? And Georgia or Alabama and all them offer about the same. Well, then the next day they're going to say, or they could say, let's say Penn State offers them $250,000. Like, all right, well, I'm going to go with the 250.
Okay.
Because I'm going to look at the roster and see, okay, because it was this one kid that I dealt with in recruiting. He wanted to go to Georgia, maybe? He was either Georgia or Alabama, but he was like, they got a bunch of people there, like a bunch of 5 stars there, so it's like, I'm going to just get lost in the shuffle.
Well, but why is that any different than?
So I'm just saying, like, if you
those kids are not getting paid how much they getting paid at Indiana?
I have no idea.
Shout out to Indiana.
I'm about to say shout out to
Indiana. They stole OU's quarterback and they're balling. By the way, here's the problem, man.
By the way, Kyle McCord just threw another interception.
Just now. In a medium game.
Anyway.
Ohio State.
Fire Ryan Day. That's my bottom line.
Ohio State got pro players. Yeah, they have pro players. They have the best receivers. They got these pro players. My problem with Ohio State is why they're just too conservative defensively. They just play. They think they're gonna rush 4, and then they're gonna play this pro style. We're gonna keep everything.
They ran a bunch of twisted stunts last week.
They
wasn't getting home.
They wasn't getting. Nobody wasn't getting home.
And they was blitzing.
And by the way, where are your Thundercats? Where are your crazy ends? I need ends.
Both of them are 5 stars.
I know, but they really 4s.
There's been no impact from Ohio State pass rushers,
and
right?
JTT.
We've been waiting since Chase Young left.
Good gracious, JTT. Right, you got a name. We're going to have to strip your name, too.
You had, obviously, Chase Young. You had the racist brothers. I mean, the Bosa brothers. And
did you just sneak that? Did you just sneak that in there, too?
Oh, I was just slipping the tongue. Anyway, let's get to basketball. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's get into the Cavs, who are off to a 4-0 start. But first, get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, which also has all the bets you can ever dream up for the NBA, Major League Baseball, hockey, you name it. You can find it on FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet $5 to get a $150 bonus bet if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, you live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Guys, I need your help here because I am stuck in this who cares about the NBA, the regular season doesn't matter, and I want to get myself out of this. You know, if I was just a fan, it would be fine because I don't, whatever, but not only do I want to care about these games, and it's boring if I come on TV and every day say, who cares? It's the regular season. That's boring. Nobody wants to hear that. So I don't want to say that. So I need your help. Mike, you want to take first crack at it, you said?
Yeah, tag me in, Coach. Tag me in.
Get me out of this malaise of not, like, I watched the game last night. I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch the first 3 games because they were playing bad teams and I didn't really care. But I'm like, all right, they're playing the Knicks tonight. I got to watch this game. So I'm watching it, and I like the way they played. And then Mike sends a text this morning. He's like, "It's a big win." And the first thing I thought, "Big win." It's the fourth game of the NBA season.
No, it was.
But I want it to feel like a big game. So help me.
So I tweeted out last night after they won, "Believe the hype, the Cavs are real." Ooh. And I got a lot of pushback saying, I agree with Bull. Nothing matters till March and April.
Yeah.
And big picture, you guys are right. It's 4 games. It's less than 1/20th of the season so far. They've played 3 mediocre teams. And by mediocre, that's being really generous to 3 of the worst teams in basketball.
Yeah.
They've played 1 real contest. That was last night against the Knicks. And they did win that game in MSG. And Darius Garland, who we'll talk about, played maybe his best game in a year and a half. We can't get the playoff question answers until the playoffs. So if you want to choose to go through the next 5 months with the same mindset that Bull just alluded to, if none of this matters, then so be it. But there are tangible things you can see from the Cavs for the first 3 games, and most specifically last night, that showed they're playing high-level basketball in the moment, doing things differently than we had seen the last 3-4 seasons with J.B. Bickerstaff, that in theory, and so many things can change between Game 4 and the playoffs. We have 78 regular season games left, or 77 regular season games left. A lot can change, but right now, in the moment today, this morning at 11:16, the Cavs are playing really high-level basketball. They're executing offensively at an extremely, extremely high rate. They're making shots, and even last night in a game where they didn't make as many threes as they had in the first 3, they found ways to win. You can poo-poo it all you want. It doesn't mean they're legitimate contenders. They're as good as the Celtics or the Thunder. But we're seeing things that we had not seen from this team in years past that should make watching the regular season exciting.
Well, like what specifically?
Say it again?
What specifically are we seeing that you say, hey, or G, why don't you go? What specifically?
Can I show you one thing and then I'll let you go?
Basically said that didn't persuade him none.
Can I show you one thing real quick?
I feel like that was a politician's answer right there.
Can I show you one thing real quick if you're looking for it? Jason and I are doing a Cavs show tonight at 6:30. We're going to break down some of Darius Garland's.
Jason going to be on it?
Jason is on it.
Ooh.
This is the very first. It's going to be in tag board, so it's small. This is the very first play they ran for the game yesterday. There's a little screen-to-screener from Garland. Garland ends up reading the defense, getting into the paint, making a floater. I tried to kind of diagram it for you guys. I don't know if it'll take full. But you can see the way they're setting up guys, putting them in a position in space, and letting them read, as opposed to last year being so rigid, which is what J.B. Bickerstaff wanted them to do. We'll break all these plays down in more detail tonight. But he's reading Josh Hart here. Josh Hart goes under. Darius ends up getting to the lane. He puts Karl Anthony Towns in a pickle. Do you help? Do you not? Garland hits the floater. The fact that they're executing some of these sets at such a high level this early in the season, Bull, makes me confident they can continue to add to the repertoire in the playbook. If they have the basics down to this extreme, then Kenny Atkinson can just keep dialing it up even more as we continue to go along throughout the season.
I think
Go ahead, guys.
I understand what you're saying
about
it doesn't matter until like all this is cute,
right?
But it's still exciting. To me, it's about seeing the growth of the team. Last year we talked about how JB had no sets. They just sat there and it was just Donovan do his thing. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll give you granted, when the playoffs come, it better still be that stuff we see right there, which we won't know. But in hindsight right now, thinking about it, it is exciting to see everybody start to get involved. I think everybody had double digits, except for Dean Wade. I think he had like 1 point. He was like,
terrible.
But everybody else, your core 4 had double digits and they look good. The only negative thing that I could think of that happened in that game was the Josh Hart was killing them on the boards, and he looked like he just had a ton of effort. What I did like is they went down in this game, and I was thinking to myself, they might lose this game. Like the Garden is still too much for them. And the fact that they came back and, Evan was in the paint banging and he was getting points off. He had a nice couple little post moves in the paint and DG went crazy. Like, those are guys that you're going to count on. And for them to do it in Madison Square Garden, to me, is what held weight. And I want you to apologize because you sat there and you just disrespected that man last year. And I can't be mad at you.
Talking about DG?
Yeah, I can't be mad at you.
I'll address that.
By the way, before you do,
I seen him last night, G.
Before you address that play that Mike just showed. Last year, he's not taking that shot.
No. He's not at all.
So that was good to see.
Big
Go ahead.
facts.
No, he would have passed it up. He'd have passed it.
He might not have even driven.
He's had some turnovers. He still got to clean that up.
Yeah.
But the confidence that he played with, I mean, he was going to the hole. He shot. I think he made like 5 threes last night. It looked like he had his joy back in playing basketball. He was aggressive. He was assertive. He wasn't looking to try to pass the ball. He thought to himself, I am the answer. I can get the bucket. And we haven't seen him have that confidence in like 2 years. So if he going to play like that and everybody else is going to continue to progress like that, because the thing is, Donovan gave you a soft 25, but we know Donovan can do whatever he wants whenever he wants. It was the rest of them. It was Jared Allen. It was Evan. It was DG. And to see them have a performance like they did, it was inspiring to me. Now, the only thing, Mitchell Robinson didn't play, and that he's a big factor. So, just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. All right, G, what do you got on?
So yeah, it's multiple.
I got your tweet if you want it, G. Do you want to start with that?
It's multiple fronts we're going to get to. First of all, they still didn't convince you why you should care, right? So as I try to, everybody should work on their mental health. Everybody should be. So I was talking to some professionals, and I've been having a big problem with having depression from nostalgia, and so what I found is that as we talking to different people, we over romanticize things that we had in our past. Like, I would look at different pictures and I would get caught in the past thinking how great that was. In reality, I've just whitewashed all the bad things because I'm not living today. And it's a problem as you get older and you become, more professional and you got a family and life seems to come at you fast. And so what happens is you aren't creating new memories. You're not creating new events. You're not creating those same things. Just like when you was in elementary school or high school, right? You was hanging out and you like, man, summer break used to be 45 years long. Actually, it was 3 weeks. Why did Christmases or why did holidays seem so much better? It's because back then you were living in the moment. You were living in a day. You weren't thinking about 25 years of this Christmas. Now we live in an environment where, as adults, we're programmed to think about the next thing. Right now, we're talking about the Browns, but now the Cavs come up, and it's like, okay, well, we'll push them to next year and tell me when it counts. But meaning is derived from the process. Meaning is seeing people go through things. The meaning that you have, that you get to watch your son grow and say, I was at the first play and look how he's grown now. Look at what he's adding to the thing. Now, before you might have been like not really paying attention to it, but now you probably get really excited to see him and be at plays and growth. So you have to put yourself in the moment. You have to live in today and say, look, tomorrow I do sports for a living. We may not be here tomorrow. Like, I can't wait on the Browns every year. Like, I can't wait on the Cavs. Let me enjoy watching those guys today in whatever it is. And as you develop those relationships, as you develop and watch, you become, more invested in it, and you derive meaning from the process.
I did appreciate the process of the Guardians this year. I enjoyed watching them throughout the season. And what you do in the regular season baseball doesn't always. Now, the Dodgers were the best team in baseball this year, and they're about to win the World Series. So it did, but it doesn't always happen that way. And okay, and you're convincing me a little bit here. And what I'm talking myself into as I'm listening to what you're saying also is the fact that the two bad things about the NBA, and one of them's changing, so it might help. One, the biggest negative to me with the NBA is there's so many teams make the playoffs. That hurts the regular season.
I agree.
Because it's so. Even though in baseball, you can't be mediocre. I mean, maybe the last team possibly, but like in baseball, even though they've expanded the playoffs to 6 teams, that's still only 6 out of 15 in each league. That's less than half, obviously. Whereas in basketball, it's 10 out of 15 make it. That's 2/3. So it feels like there's no chance they're not going to make the playoffs. On the other hand, the one thing that's getting better about the NBA, to me, the only thing that's getting better about the NBA is it's because there's more parity now than there's ever been, I think.
Yes.
And more, it used to be like for a while until somewhat recently, they were like when the Warriors were playing, it was like the only team that could beat them is the Cavs because you got LeBron. That's it.
Yeah.
And when they played the Heat, well, it was, whatever. It's like, It felt like most of those years there was only 2 or 3 teams that could win a championship.
Isn't Boston like that now?
I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, and I don't know the NBA.
I don't think Boston is.
You don't think, Mike?
I mean, they're in their own tier this year, but I don't think it's the same tier like the KD Warriors were, where it was
impossible. To beat them.
Yeah. And so it feels a little more open, and so I'm going to try to get into. But the problem is, next year for the Guardians, I won't be able to appreciate the ride quite as much because the expectations are higher. Part of the reason the ride for the Guardians this year was so good is because we had no expectations for the team. But this is now the 3rd year in a row that the Cavs' expectations are at least pretty good, although they have a new coach, and that gives you. And ultimately, you mentioned the big 4.
The core
4. Donovan Mitchell and Josh Allen.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, Jarrett Allen. Like, I'm not worried about them. Those guys. We know what they are.
Yes,
like they are what they are. What can take the Cavs from being a pretty good team to being a legit contender is how high of a ceiling, or how high of a ceiling do Darius Garland and Evan Mobley have. It's all about those 2 guys.
Agreed.
And obviously they've gotten both off to a very good start.
Well, then you should be motivated because
I'm talking myself.
You should be motivated because even with a DG who didn't love basketball and an Evan Mobley who people thought was soft at times, the way that they're playing now, if they get this performance and you know Donovan and Jarrett's gonna show up,
right?
Then they should be able to bang with anybody.
Well, I don't know. I guess I don't know that Jarrett's going to show up in the playoffs because he hasn't. But
yes, he did, didn't he?
He played well till he got hurt.
Yeah. He got hurt. That's what happened.
Now let's address the Darius Garland situation.
Yeah.
Please, let's get to this. Man.
Let's do it.
You want your tweet?
I'm going to call for it here in a second.
Gotcha.
Because my knee, 32 points.
Now here's my knees. Here's what I need because I see this a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people,
because I told you I was going to keep the receipts.
A lot of people don't understand this, right? I think that where we've gone with the debate culture is the fact that we have to, when you say something, it means that you've dug in and took a stance on something, and you are never allowed to then say, "Oh, well, I got new information."
Yeah, that's baloney. You
can do that, but everybody gonna remind you what you said.
But that's great. Like, here's the thing: if I'm sitting here telling the truth about a player, right, and I'm saying this guy, hey, listen, it ain't getting it done. Whatever words that I use,
I was
right?
about to say it was a little harsh.
It's a little harsher, right? My thing is, I don't want him to fail. Like this is the thing. Like, I'm from Cleveland. We cover these teams. I would love to come on here and tell you that he got 50 points and was dominant, is the best point guard in the league. But if he's not doing that, I'm not going to say that, right? So here's my thing. You fans have to get to a point, and if you do this, you'll be a much happier sports fan wherever you are. Give yourself some grace and opportunity to say, you know what? He's playing well this year.
Okay.
See how easy that is? They don't take more taxes out. I don't get publicly flogged in the middle of the town square because that Darius Garland is playing today. You all have the latitude to say, listen, last year he was not playing well, but I watched the game today and he sure as heck was balling.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure you can.
Okay, so let's figuratively speaking. Mm-hmm. Let's say Deshaun came out this year and was unbelievable. You yourself said that people gonna have to unfollow you because you got receipts.
Yeah,
that's exactly true. What were you gonna do with those receipts?
The receipts was I was gonna take victory laps on that 4,500.
Okay, so like by doing what though?
I'm gonna say Deshaun Watson got 4,500. He's killing this.
Okay, so you're not like about to go dig up old tweets and stuff and like ha to them people that say.
Why would I do that?
I'm just asking because that's what people do. When people say I got receipts, they usually when they write about something, they usually go back and retweet it and be like, "This you, ain't it?"
I'm gonna give you a case in point example. McNuggets knows this. When they talked about bringing Flacco in last year, they said, "Nah, DTR." People say, "Nah, whatever." We was on a panel. I said, "No, give me Joe." Nobody wanted Flacco. And then when they said, how good is Flacco going to play? I said, he's throwing for 300 first game. They laughed. Mm-hmm. They said, he's going to throw for 300. They laughed again. I kept saying he was going to throw for 300, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, I gave him a nickname. We was balling. We got the Kool-Aid. The Flaccavelli was moving. Now, guess what? When the Cleveland Browns decided that they was going to move on from Joe Flacco, I was like, okay. See, I understood what they were doing in two senses.
We all did.
So you don't have to double, even because you know something in the time today does not mean that you can't get that new information and say, once upon a time people thought the world was flat.
I agree with you. I think Tyvus is trying to bring up the point that you would have talked shit to the people.
Yes, he would have. I don't know why he's sitting here acting like this.
No, listen what I'm saying. Am I going to specifically pull up one person's tweet and be like, he's garbage?
Maybe.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's fun. That's part of the sports debate. You got to admit when you're wrong, as we all do. Not everybody in the business.
I was going to say people.
And so bring up my tweet, McNuggets.
Yeah.
So we can see how this all comes back in.
Let me see. What did he say?
Crazy accent.
You got to read the tweet.
Yeah, right. We sitting there. Let me put some context on it. We watching the game, and so my wife, she was sad because Ricky Rubio is no longer there. I told her, bro, you listen, you can't keep trying to DM Ricky Rubio. That's unacceptable. He's not here no more. You can't watch him. No, I'm just playing. But he said, my wife told me, she was like, now she got an accent, right? She's like, you could no longer say bad things about Darius Garland's name because he's looking much beefier and fuller faced. I said, pause. What are you talking about? He's like, he is much more beefier today than he was last year, and his face is much more fuller. He is much more in shape today. I said, so what you trying to say is he gained some weight? Yeah. He lost the weight last year, and he looks much more physical. I said, I got what you was trying to say.
Beefier.
He's big. I said, but pause. You can't say beefier.
Don't say that publicly.
So even my wife is like, you can't say nothing about Darius Garland this year.
I'm just saying.
Now, and I said, you know what, babe? You're right. He is balling today. Now listen, if he balls out the rest of the year, I'll shake his hand and congratulate him. See, it is what it is.
All I know is I'm going to say this. Let me see that, Steve. Let me see it. Pan it. Pan the camera. Stop talking to him. Here we go. I'm going to say this. I was right about Darius Garland, and so far, I was right about Elijah Moore because today, at about 8:02 this morning, Petty LaMoore decided to pick Elijah Moore up for his fantasy team after they criticized me and told me he was done. He was a waste of trade. He was never going to do nothing here. And all of a sudden, people jumping on board. I'm just saying.
I have to admit that I did pick him up today.
Now listen, we talked about McNuggets. We talked about Kobe Altman, right? Now, now here's the thing. If you're going to take, I'll say, look, hey, you playing better this year, right? I will say this, though. I sure the heck was right about J.B. Bickerstaff for 2 or 3 years, was I not?
I think it's too early to say, but the early returns
The early returns look really impressive.
Okay, yeah. So it's up and down, McNuggets. You win some, you lose some in this game.
I love to pat myself on the back when I get it right, but I totally will call myself out when I get it wrong. I think you got to do that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to talk crap when you're right, but I love it.
Last thing.
But if you're going to talk crap when you're right, you got to admit when you screw up.
I need G-New to get these interceptions so I can be right about baseball, I can be right about basketball, I can be right about football.
One last thing on the Cavs, and we'll pivot over to the Browns, but as good as Darius was offensively yesterday, he made 2 giant defensive plays late in the game that ended up sealing the game for the Cavaliers. He had the strip on the Brunson on a fast break attempt. He had a strip on Brunson, then he blocked Brunson again. That kept the game at multiple possessions as opposed to the Knicks cutting it to one possession. We're going to break those down tonight on the Ultimate Cavs Show, either 6:30 or 7. We haven't finalized the time, but that will be tonight. We're going to recap the Knicks game, recap the first 4 games of the season, preview tomorrow's game against Bronny and the Lakers, so make sure y'all tune into that.
By the way, I think there's got to be – I wish there was a way they should – every time a player complains about a call in the NBA, they should call a technical foul. That would end.
You'd have everyone fouled out in the first
I don't
quarter.
care.
We'd be all
You'd adjust. The players would adjust. I can't take it. It really one of the things I hate most about the NBA. It is the worst part of the game right now,
without a doubt.
Every superstar in the league thinks he never commits a foul.
And he's
fouled on every play.
And never has missed a shot without getting hacked.
Right. It's just so annoying.
It is obnoxious. All right, guys, we're going to talk Browns here momentarily after a quick word from Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Plus, Prize Picks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. If your picks hit, you get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the Prize Pick app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's with code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly just by playing $5. You don't even have to win to receive the bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game when you want. Tyvis, you were not here yesterday when we talked about Jameis Winston's debut, so this topic gives you a chance to weigh in on Jameis's first game as the Browns quarterback, but also pushing it forward. What are the chances Jameis can end up being the Browns' long-term answer at quarterback?
When you say long-term,
what
are you talking about?
They signed him to a 2-3 year deal, maybe longer, but they don't draft a quarterback in this year's draft because they feel comfortable that Jameis is the guy moving forward.
So this is what I'll say. This is what I'll say about that. First of all, there's 2 people on this Browns roster right now that they're going to look at heavy for the rest of this season because they can really influence the draft, and that's Jameis Winston and DeJuan Jones. If those 2 guys, if Jameis goes out there, he's not throwing for 45. Let it go, G. If he goes out there, he throws for 4,000. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Let's go, Tyvis. Let's go.
400 yards a game.
Let's go, Tyvis. Yeah. Let's go. I know you've been waiting. Come on, dog.
If he goes out there, he plays well. I think you do. I think you don't make the same mistake that you made last year. The one thing that I will say about this front office is that they do learn from their previous mistakes. You know, we had a D tackle problem. They fixed that. Had a wide receiver problem. They went out and they tried to address that. So they do a better job with that. Last year you had this quarterback. You had Deshaun go down with an injury. You decided to go with Joe and you let Joe go at the end of the year. Joe actually looks really good in Indianapolis right now. At least I know he won't be tired. He won't call himself out of the game when he's tired. But that's a whole.
Have you ever heard of that?
Blew my mind. He said I was tired. Yeah. I said what? In the third quarter? Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Back to Jameis. I think that if Jameis balls out this year, one, Deshaun ain't coming back for next year to start the season anyways. So I think that you need to have somebody that's brought confidence, a guy that guys will get behind, that guys will play hard for. Jameis will be that answer. Now, if he does play really well, then you're not picking in the top 5 anyways, because you would assume that they won a lot more games. With that being said, yeah, I would sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal because now you can take that first round pick and maybe you can go get another wide receiver or you can go get another corner because to be honest with you, I'm on the Travis Hunter thing. If Denzel can't come back, I'm going with Travis Hunter in the first round no matter what. I don't know what we got to trade, but that's what's going to happen. But I think that would be really good. And like I say, Jameis to me, did he play perfect? No. He has some plays out there. But, you know, so did Joe Flacco. Everybody loved Joe Flacco. It's not like he didn't throw picks. He just threw more touchdowns than picks. And Jameis to me does the exact same thing. I have to see it obviously over a more period of time because I'm not going to ignore the fact that Baltimore was 32nd in defense and they were without their starting 2 corners. Can't ignore that fact. But I did like what I seen from Jameis. He got that ball out his hand before receivers was out to break. He put a lot of them passes on the money. You could see the chemistry was there. Guys ran harder routes. And he is not scared to take the shot. And like I said, for them to call that play to Tillman at the end of the game with the game on the line, like 2nd and 15 as a DB, I'm thinking, all right, they're trying to get like 5, 6, 7 yards to make it 3rd and manageable. I wouldn't have thought they would have threw a touchdown. And the fact that they did that, like, that shows me that Jameis got a lot of confidence in his guys. And I think that's something that these receivers lost with Deshaun. I think they lost confidence in themselves. You know, Jason sat up here and said they got the worst separation in the league. And you start hearing stuff like that. And it's like, why can't I get the ball? Like, am I not open? Maybe I ain't running these routes good. Maybe I ain't that good. But then you get a guy like Jameis out there that's throwing guys open and getting the ball to you. Like, man, okay. So now you get the confidence back, and now you see guys start to take off. So it would be hard for me to go away from that. Like, even if after this season's over, if these receiving core does look really well, like, it's hard for me to go get another quarterback to replace that, because you're taking the guy away that brought confidence back, not just in the receivers, but the rest of this team. And people in the locker room going to be like, you already did that with Joe Flacco. You cannot do that again with Jameis Winston.
I love the Tigers. We don't want to be an organization that is always learning but never coming into the knowledge of. You're always learning, right? We just had Joe Flacco here last year. And people said, Joe Flacco, hey, we couldn't do it. He put up the numbers, he did what he did. And then all of a sudden, we arguing back and forth about why did we let Flacco go, why we do this, why we do that.
And Jameis is young.
Younger.
He's, 30?
He's 30 years old. I'll go back to what I talked about yesterday, Bull, and I was sitting there thinking about it more. The San Francisco 49ers was in a specific same situation. We talked about they had Jimmy Garoppolo. They thought they can get better. They went and got Trey Lance, gave up all this draft capital, figured out that neither one of them weren't that good. And you know how they saved themselves and are able to still be contenders today? Because they had the guts to say, I'm going to roll with this 6th-round draft pick, Brock Purdy, or whatever the case may be, and we're going to roll the dice on it. And they didn't half do it. They just said, I'm in on it. Like, this is how we going to move. We're going to give him plays to throw. We're going to put confidence and roll confidence into the dude.
It's a similar situation.
Similar.
I mean, they went with Trey Lance. Trey Lance got hurt. Brock Purdy comes in, and he balls. Trey Lance gets healthy the next year. They decide to go back to Trey Lance. Trey Lance get hurt again. Brock Purdy comes in and takes off, and they never look back. The difference between the Browns and the 49ers at this current moment right now is that the 49ers admitted that they made a mistake by getting rid of Trey Lance. The Browns have yet to address the fact that they made a mistake.
And you got an opportunity. Like, Deshaun Watson got hurt. He came in. And guys, I'm just asking. Maybe it's just me. And you let me know in the comment section when you watch this video. Which way do we want it? Like, we just sat up here for 7 weeks talking about how anemic the offense was, how terrible it was, how that we was the worst offense in the league. Somebody comes in off the bench and hasn't started in 2 years.
300 yards.
And gives you 340 yards, 3 touchdowns.
27 points. Hit all the marks that we've been trying to hit.
And throws a game-winning touchdown in your stadium.
That we was yet to win in.
And now today I wake up, bad job. Where's Lima at? Come on, Lima. You talk about Lima and Jason Lloyd. Bad job out of you. You're talking about trading them for a 3rd-round pick? What do you people want?
Jason Lloyd said trade.
Jason Lloyd said, well, you can get his draft, his capital. We're going to be able to get a 3rd round. What do we want here, people? Do we want production?
It sounds like
no?
they're trying to. What are you trying to tank the season?
I don't understand it.
I think.
Jason's point was, if you're not going to make the playoffs, trade him because you get a draft pick to build for the future.
That's wild. That's wild.
So you're not going to even give yourself the opportunity because that would mean you would have to trade him by what, Tuesday? This upcoming Tuesday.
Yes, I think next.
So you're not even going to give yourself a chance. How you explain that?
No, Jason said he wouldn't do anything till after the Chargers game.
Okay.
So he said, let's see how the Chargers game goes then.
If they lose to the Chargers, I can understand. Now, listen, Jameis Winston played 1 game. So to say now, well, we're going to sign him to an extension, that doesn't make any sense.
Well,
I said after the season.
Now, is Jameis Winston based on the definition you gave, my answer?
He said 2 to 3 years.
But he also said, well, I wouldn't draft a quarterback now. See, I don't agree with that. Now,
it depends on where you at, though.
Well, yes.
Where are you at in the draft?
When teams are desperate for a quarterback, often they'll draft a quarterback, even if that quarterback's not worthy of being drafted where they drafted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Jones.
And that's a flaw that bad teams often make.
Yes.
And the Browns have done that before. And that should never be done. Whether you think Jameis Winston can be their quarterback for the next 2 years or not, they should only draft a quarterback in the 1st round if they truly believe that guy's a 1st-round player.
But I feel like there's a specific type of quarterback that, like, I don't know if they was to get Shador or Cam, would that be perfect for them?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Ty, it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot. You never know for sure. But as an organization, you have to make a decision, whether it's Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, whoever's involved with the decision, if they decide in this draft that they have the opportunity to draft a quarterback that they believe is going to be the next great quarterback in the NFL, then they should absolutely draft him.
That depends on when you pick him. If you pick it like 15th or something.
Well, but maybe there's a guy. Again, I'm not saying they're right, but maybe there's a guy that's going to drop to 15 that they think is fantastic.
This team
and other teams are sleeping on.
This team need to find a quarterback. They need to let the athleticism thing go. I think that's the problem. You get caught up in the athleticism. Let the athleticism thing go because your offensive line show you that they can't really block for an athletic quarterback.
Well, I mean, it depends.
I'm just telling you, get the guy with the big arm that can make the big throw.
Why, you'd pass on Jaden Daniels if you could get him?
No.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, right. What I'm saying is it's opportunity cost. You look at it, and I'm just asking people to just look at the landscape. You said Kevin Stefanski gets the best out of most of the quarterbacks he's around, correct? You got Jameis Winston. He's 30 years old. Mm-hmm. He's in your building. The guys know him. He has a great arm. He's a former number 1 overall pick. It's not like he was some guy, some 6th-round guy. Yeah. He's put up numbers in this league before, right? You could say, well, he throws a lot of interceptions. Okay, well, like you have an opportunity to either try to coach that, minimize that, or at this point in time say that skill set is going to be a part of what elite quarterbacks do. Patrick Mahomes is going to try to fit it in there. We should understand today that playing safe like Deshaun Watson was doing is not the way that it gets done in this league. And if I'm looking around the league, Bull, and I say Geno Smith, I see Baker Mayfield, I see Jared Goff, I see all of these guys that Sam Darnold, that were once upon a time looked at as out of the league, bust, terrible. They go to another place, get it together. And what it does, it buys you more time. It gives you an opportunity to not have to do what you're saying do.
Yeah.
Go force another quarterback.
Yeah, I got to see the rest of this year before I make any decision.
I mean, we all do.
Right,
we all do.
But if Jameis plays well, I would bring him back for another year. I wouldn't want to give him a 3-year contract personally, but I'd bring him back for another year.
And you still draft
and I would still potentially, if I believed the guy was good enough, draft a quarterback and know that I still have Jameis. I can start. Look at Minnesota. Like Minnesota's plan was not to start Sam Darnold
at all.
It was to start J.J. McCarthy, and McCarthy got hurt.
It was a bridge.
Well, it might have been.
It was like Drake and Jacoby Brissett.
Right. It was going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Now Darnold's played great, and McCarthy got hurt. So who knows? Mm-hmm. And that could be.
They stuck in a situation over there. Darnold keep playing with.
Is that a situation though? Would you rather be in that situation or a situation that the Browns have been in so many times?
Give me that. Give me that. We'll figure it out.
If I'm the Vikings and I still think J.J. McCarthy's good, I'm in a great position.
Technically, the Falcons going to be in the same thing if Michael Penix turned out to be really good.
Because think about it. Some team somewhere wants a quarterback.
That's right.
You have 2 of them.
But the thing is, we talked about it with Bernie. Like, I think it's beneficial now for having the quarterback come in and sit for a year to learn the system and everything.
It is, but most teams don't do that.
That's what I'm saying. If you keep Jameis around, you at least.
And so, no matter how Jameis plays, I actually don't have a problem with keeping him for.
Well, I mean, they still gonna have DTR on the roster, no matter what.
Right, but Jameis, there's a certain level to his floor. Mm-hmm. He's at worst can be a competent NFL quarterback.
What's scared? I'm gonna ask both of y'all.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's years in Tampa Bay. I go back and look. He threw for 4,000 yards twice. He threw for 5,000 yards once.
Yeah.
He was playing very well before he got injured in New Orleans. What is the apprehensiveness about? What keeps you from saying he possibly can be looked at as a starter moving forward?
Well, I mean,
the fact that
I don't think it's that he can be a starter moving forward. Is he a good enough starter to win with?
Okay.
There's not 32 quarterbacks in the league better than Jameis Winston. Okay. I don't think. But I don't know if he's high enough that you can win. Now, are things trending more towards running and defense a little bit the last year or so? And maybe you can once again win with a 2nd or 3rd tier quarterback that I think you couldn't have 5 years ago. That might be the case. The problem, the Darnold and Geno Smith comparisons, I don't buy because those guys were never good before. Those guys were never good, and now they're good.
Didn't Sean
the Baker and Jared Goff comparisons to Jameis fit, not only because they showed flashes with their first team and then fell off, but also because, like Jameis, Baker and Jared Goff were extremely turnover prone. Mm-hmm. Baker, in fact, I think since 18, I believe, Baker and Goff are 1 and 2 in turnovers.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Now, the difference is that Goff has gotten better with that.
Yeah.
Baker did a better job last year. He really, in Tampa, until the last 3 games, had done a much better job of not turning the ball over. Mm-hmm. And now in his last 3 games, he's had 7 turnovers. So all of a sudden, that's kind of caught up with him again. That's the question for Jameis.
So you need you say,
and I don't want to fundamentally change who he is. Jameis, the positive of Jameis is that he plays with his balls.
Yeah.
Right? He don't care. I'm going to throw it.
Pause, yeah, back in what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I may screw up. I may throw a pick, but I'm going for it. And you know, there are other quarterbacks like that. Now, Mahomes, his turnovers are high this year. Mm-hmm. They've never been before this year. This year they're high. But you have to be. You can't throw 30 interceptions.
I just think that we'll find out.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Joe Flacco is that he showed that he had a lot of picks, but he also had like a lot of great plays.
He did.
He brought a lot of people alive back to this offense. For me, if Jameis can go to Pittsburgh and win in Pittsburgh, or if he goes toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes, like if they in that, like it's done. Like I don't know what else we need to talk about.
It's his ceiling. Just really quick, ceiling. What is it? Top what quarterback?
You think they can win a Super Bowl with him?
What's his the best he's gonna play? If he plays the best he can play, where do you find him? Because the soundbite says, "Hey, when I'm at the best, I'm a damn good starting quarterback."
Oh, when he's at his best,
at his best,
top 10.
At his best,
I don't think he's top 10.
He's top 16,
top 10.
I think he's in that next group.
That man would.
Okay. I think
that man will throw for 400 yards in the game if you let him. So and that's his best.
But most quarterbacks, in the NFL
he said at his best.
At his best.
At his best.
So
that man, you looking at 400 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns.
I think if you get him to 10 to 12, you can win with that. I think you win the Super Bowl with 10 to 12 today.
Well, Nick Chubb got to get back
10 to 12 quarterback.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm just not sure he's we need it to play out more.
The beautiful thing is we only have one game of data to go off. The one game was a lot of fun. It could completely change on Sunday against the Chargers. We'll have this conversation.
That's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, are we having this conversation if Kyle Hamilton holds on to that pick?
It's a valid point.
And Jameis would have still played an overall very good game.
Yeah,
but
no,
it's a different conversation.
Yeah, it is.
And this next soundbite we're going to play from you guys doesn't exist if Kyle Hamilton makes that interception. We'll play that soundbite for you in 1 sec. After a quick word from Hillsdale College, time is our most precious commodity, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it wisely to improve yourself? Well, Hillsdale College is offering more than 40 free, that's right, free online courses, including Constitution 101, the meaning and history of the Constitution, Introduction of Free Market Economics, the Great American Story, A Land of Hope, and many, many more. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced so that you can start whenever, wherever. Plus, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or just enjoy the lectures. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockdown to enroll. There's no cost. It's easy to get started. That's at hillsdale.edu/lockdown to register. hillsdale.edu/lockdown. I mentioned a quote, and we're going to hear from Juan Thonrhill, who was asked about the Browns' playoff chances despite being just 2-6. This is Juan Thonrhill from yesterday's media session.
When we were 1-6 and we started going into this AFC, I think it was this past week. I think I stepped up and said something. I had to tell everybody to take a step back. Don't think about our record. Think about what's ahead of us. And it was all AFC opponents. At that point, I think we were. No, it was 2 weeks ago. At that point, I think we were 1-1 in the AFC, and we had lost, so we were 1-2, and now we're 2-2. And I looked at the teams in the AFC, everyone it's neck and neck. You know, you might have 4 teams that's in front of us, maybe with a better AFC record, but other than that, everyone else has only 1 AFC win or 2 AFC wins, and we're sitting at 2 wins. So I don't think anyone is even at 1-6, but sitting the season's over. We're just continuously trying to, stack wins, and we can just keep this thing rolling.
You mischaracterized what he said.
Well, I told you he didn't say the word great, but he said they are still alive at 2-6.
I mean, of course they're alive. I was looking at some analytics website to say what they say the percentage chance of the Browns making the playoffs is. What do you think they're? This is
12%.
It's probably about 8%, 8 to 10.
This is from The Athletic. Got it from, I don't know, maybe 5%.
Okay.
Jaguars also 5%.
Okay.
The only teams below, the Titans 2%. Patriots, Giants, Raiders, Panthers, all less than 1%.
Okay.
I think that's fair. If you played the rest of the season 20 times, the Browns would make it to the playoffs once. You know, yes, the middle of the AFC is not as good as I think we all thought it would be. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of teams in the AFC right now that are not as good as we thought they would be, and not as many that are better. And so, yeah, you look at it and say, well, the Browns may only be like 2 games out of a wild card spot, so that's not impossible. And of course it's not impossible. Mm-hmm. The problem is, in the reality of the situation is, best case scenario, you got to get to at least 9 wins, right? Minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum. Even that's unlikely.
Yeah.
But let's say you can get in with 9 wins. First of all, you're going to have the tiebreakers at 9 wins.
Yeah.
So to get to 9 wins, the Browns have to go 7-2 the rest of the season.
Crazy.
And it's not like their schedule on paper is easy.
Or they have to sweep all the division games and win the AFC North.
Well, they can't sweep it. They lost to the Bengals.
Oh, well, yeah. So
you can't. It doesn't matter what your record in the division is. You still have to have the best record in overall to win the division.
Really?
Everybody gets confused by that.
I didn't know that.
Doesn't matter. The record in the division is only a tiebreaker if you have the same amount of total wins.
Man, that's crazy.
So it doesn't matter. So
you still have. Yeah, you go ahead.
In fact, they have the Browns' chances of winning their division less than 1%. Obviously. The Browns have, I think 5% is reasonable. I don't think it's impossible for them to make the playoffs. I think it's a little crazy that a week ago, everybody's saying they could end up with the first pick of the draft. And now I think they can make the playoffs. And that shows you how much better the team looked with Jameis Winston.
Life comes at you fast.
But let's be fair about it. It's,
funny,
as well as Jameis played, as well as the Browns played, it is one game. Like, this is a week-to-week league. Teams look different from week to week, even if nothing changes.
Hey, listen, this is
the last 4 games.
Now hold on. Now listen. Here's why the people say that. Rationalization is borderline on delusion. Is a strong drug, right?
Yeah.
Put that schedule back up. Now here's how people at the crib is doing it.
Yeah.
We just beat the Ravens, dog.
Right.
330.
Yep.
The Chargers. Look, Chargers ain't even really that crazy. We at home, we riding high. Right. Guess what? The bye week coming up after that. You get Myles Garrett healthier. The offensive line get to chill out. Nick Chubb.
Maybe Denzel Ward.
Come back. Then go ahead and hit the next slide. Now you go to this week.
Saints ain't been looking
Saints
good.
Been falling apart.
Yeah.
They're
terrible.
They looking.
Pittsburgh.
And then you got Pittsburgh at the house. You win those 2 games, fans gonna be jacked up, ready to get the Steelers.
What that put us at? What?
That'd be 5 and 6.
Yeah. At the Broncos, you got a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix.
Get you 6 and 6. Hey, you get 500 now.
Now you go back to the Steelers.
They're scared because you just beat them.
Listen, they can't drop that game, and at this time you don't even beat them once.
You get the 500.
Maybe they teetered on between Russell Wilson going back to Justin Fields. You get to even by the Steelers game, they gonna run through a brick wall. So next slide.
So G's got him 7.
So you get 76. Okay.
7-6.
All right.
And then
you could drop. You can afford to drop 2 games.
You want to. The Chiefs got sometime during the year, right? Got to, right?
8 and 6.
Look, you get Patrick at the crib. Darren come on in town. We take you out to some sweet Port Wilsons, dust you off, send you back on the road. Now this is now this
8
is
6.
This is where we get the Browns play good against the Bengals.
They just lost in the end.
You know, they lost it in the end. The Bengals may have be up and down with that. You're looking around. You're like, okay, we got something. All of a sudden, it's the Dolphins.
They coming here.
Dolphins it's cold outside. outside.
Tua's probably got another
Tua got
concussion.
another concussion. And then it's at Baltimore, and it's the last game of the season, which it always comes down to at Baltimore or at somebody.
That's right.
They
You
might,
see how
and
we're thinking?
And if they do it well, they might rest their starters.
And you know what?
So, G, you got to run the table.
You know what?
We're
As a
talking
fan,
10-6, 11-6.
as a fan, why not think about the possibility? I think, be realistic about it and know that it's a long shot.
Very long.
But so what?
Right. That's how
Right?
you thinking. You
That's
looking
exactly
at it.
how you think.
Look, Juan Thornhill, like when you see, listen, I'm gonna tell you what, 330 yards. Listen, that's like
He led the league in passing last week.
he
right?
about to win
He
a
did.
player of
That
the
is
week or
correct.
something.
Yeah, he probably
Hey, let's
will.
face it. It was a long shot for all of us to be here, man. We had to outswim all the other sperm.
Right.
We had to outswim every other sperm. in
That's,
this thing.
that's the biggest, that's the greatest rationalization I've ever heard in my life. Like, that's crazy. One in a million, dog.
right.
We had to
quickest.
outswim them all.
He was the
I-
quickest.
I-
We're all out here.
I had the tail of a champion. See what I did with this? That was,
Tyvis, so
that was
G has
cold.
him winning out. And we're bringing Mary Kay in one sec.
Here we go.
Are you drinking the same Kool-Aid that the Browns could win their final 9 games of the season here?
Well, to be fair, G was imitating the guys at their house.
Listen,
but
G,
he's,
If
G
they
can
win
change
next
his
week,
opinion.
next
Listen.
week I'm running victory laps
Oh,
on
yeah.
that.
I'm gonna be honest with
we
you.
got Mary Kay, though, so give me your thoughts. Bull, give me yours, and we'll bring in Mary Kay.
Winning 9 straight is absurd, but winning 8 is definitely in the picture.
Bull, would you say there's a 45% chance the Browns could run the table?
There is definitely not a 45. There's not a 45% chance that any team is going to run the table from here on out.
So you're saying there's a 55%
There's,
chance they
I
run
would
the
say
table.
there's less than a 10% chance of any team winning out, let alone the Browns.
That's the way I felt.
Well, let's bring in Mary Kay
Yeah.
and ask you that exact
I
question.
felt.
This interview with Mary Kay Cabot of the Cleveland Plain Dealers brought to us by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out all the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. How you doing today, Mary Kay?
Oh, we can't hear Mary Kay.
Hold on, Mary Kay. We're getting no audio from Mary Kay. Mary Kay, mind refreshing the link and try logging it again. That's on us.
Yeah, listen, Mary Kay was listening backstage. What happened? She was so excited.
She knocked out her
She
microphone.
knocked out the microphone. She was like, finally, somebody is on what I'm on today. Jameis Winston and preached to all of us, bro.
Famous Jameis.
The Lord is good.
All right, we'll bring Mary Kay in a second.
Bring it back one sec.
All right, and then
we
we're
got
gonna
audio,
have.
and we got Mary
We
Kay.
got her.
I see audio levels. Let's test it out. What's up, Mary Kay?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can hear you now.
Hey, we talking about it, Mary Kay. Juan Thornhill. We did the schedule game. I was looking down the schedule.
He said they're the favorites to win the AFC North.
They're the favorites right now. Listen, hey, they're not 2-6. It looked bad. But when you get 334 yards from Jameis Winston against the Baltimore Ravens and you see game-winning touchdowns, Juan Thornhill is feeling like, hey, I'm looking down the schedule. We got a lot of AFC. Everything, like coaches say, everything is in front of us, Mary Kay.
Well, it was kind of fun to hear him talk about that stuff yesterday. I wrote about it because it's certainly a lot better than studying NFL quarterbacks in the draft right now.
Yes, it is.
For those guys to be talking like that, why not? Why not have a little bit of fun in the 24 hours after a big victory like that? It certainly beats the mood in the previous 5 weeks. So if they want to feel like that and they want to talk like that, then have at it, because why not? It gives Browns fans something to think about, something to get excited about. Now, the story that I wrote yesterday with Juan Thornhill, I pointed out that 3 teams have made the playoffs in the NFL after starting 2-6, and that's the 70 Bengals, the 20 Commanders, the 2022 Jaguars. So there is recent history of it happening. And then last year, the Rams at 3-6 made the playoffs. So if they can go out and beat the Chargers this week, then I think that gives even a little bit more credence to them kind of talking like this a little bit.
Didn't the 20 Commanders team make it at like 8-9 though, Mary Kay?
I think it was they won 7 games, and they won the division with 7 games that year.
That's terrible.
Yeah. The Browns have
the
to
only
go
way
a minimum of 7-2 to make the playoffs. They got to win at least 9 games.
Yes, unless some teams fall apart in the AFC North and don't win anymore, but that's not going to happen. The Steelers are already obviously at 6-2. So in order to get into the playoffs, you're going to be having to look at a wild card, and you would need at least 9 victories for that.
Mary Kay, this was a different, obviously Jameis was the quarterback, but there was also a different play caller with Kevin Stefanski on the side, not having to do the play calling. What did you see differently from him? How did you think he managed the game?
Well, I actually think that this was the kind of game that Kevin would have called pretty much the same way for Jameis Winston. So I don't think we necessarily learned a whole bunch in terms of the play calling situation for a quarterback like Jameis and for an offense like that. I think where we would have possibly seen the difference is if Ken Dorsey had called plays for Deshaun Watson. That's where we would have seen, oh, hey, maybe he has a better handle on the spread and the RPOs and some of these things that he has called throughout his career. So this particular game, I thought Ken Dorsey did a really, really nice job with it, but it didn't look that much different to me than a Kevin Stefanski, Joe Flacco offense.
I agree. Do you think he continues to call for the rest of the season? Or you think it was just for this one-off? There was a one-off.
No, Kevin told us last week it is for the rest of the season. So they're giving Ken this nice tryout to see how it goes. And he might even have an opportunity to call more of a dual threat, sort of spready RPO type of game if Dorian Thompson-Robinson gets back in there for whatever reason. So we still might get some evidence, some data on there on how Ken would do in that regard. But again, in this situation, I didn't see much of a difference between him and Kevin.
Mary Kay, I agree with you there. I'm convinced that 90% of the difference was, maybe more, was just the change at quarterback. And the most noticeable thing, and you saw this with Flacco, but for me it just really came into full view, seeing it again with another veteran quarterback in Jameis, is that Flacco and Jameis throw the ball downfield unafraid of interceptions. Almost, I don't want to say not caring about interceptions, but unafraid. They're throwing it down the field, and if there is an interception, so be it, I'll make up for it next time. Whereas Deshaun, it felt like, was afraid to get intercepted, was afraid to take a chance to throw with anticipation, because if you throw with anticipation or try to throw somebody open, it could get picked off, more easily. Did you notice that as well?
Well, let me just say that were some things in this game that I thought it made it a lot easier to go downfield. First of all, you are working against the 32nd ranked pass defense in the NFL in this game. And so the game plan was to hit those explosive shots. And then you take Marlon Humphrey and Nate Wiggins, they're two of their very best cornerbacks off the field. You for sure are going to be going downfield and trying to hit those big plays. They just are a horrible pass defense right now. So I think Jameis had a really, really good game, and we don't want to take anything away from him for that. But he did have 3 interceptions dropped, and that probably would have changed the game plan a little bit if the first one had been caught, if the second one had been caught. He also had some things going for him in this game that I think were very helpful for him. He had a really good, healthy offensive line that kept him upright, kept him protected, and gave him the opportunity to throw the ball downfield because obviously it takes time. So he had great protection. It was the 7th version of an offensive line, but the best one that they've had out there so far. If you're going to be working with Nick Harris and Zach Zinter and James Hudson, and you're going to be having Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen coming at you, things are going to be a little bit different than what Jameis had to face yesterday with basically no pass rush and the best offensive line combination that they've had all season long. Then he also had a healthy David Njoku. Finally, David coming off the high ankle sprain, getting healthy. You're seeing David come back into form. He hasn't been that way. He was on a pitch count. He was hurting. So David back helps tremendously. And then Nick Chubb having a running game. Having Nick Chubb out there running the ball being better than he has been, even in his first start, was helpful. So these were all things that I think contributed to a really, really nice game by Jameis. Again, don't take anything away from him. It was a fantastic start for him. Let's see how it goes moving forward.
You know, speaking of moving forward, let me ask you, if Jameis does play well, and let's say DeJuan Jones does look really well for the left tackle spot, do you think with Denzel Ward having his 6th concussion that maybe in the draft they look to go with the corner more so than a quarterback?
I think they're going to have to look at the quarterbacks if you end up with a high pick. Now, of course, if Jameis is going to go out and the Browns are going to start to win games, the defense is starting to play a lot better. Now the offense is starting to come together for all of those reasons I just mentioned, including, and not the least of which, is a healthy offensive line. So if they start to win a few more games, then you're starting to drop in the draft, and it's going to be potentially harder to get the quarterback that you might want out of this draft if you do want one out of this draft. So they'll have to see how that goes. But I think Jameis could possibly play himself into a situation where he's competing for a job next year, or he's stepping in and starting in place of a rookie that you just drafted. So I think it really will give you a lot of good information if he can go throughout this season and continue to play really well. But I would still be looking quarterback if you have a high enough pick and you like one there.
No way that they make the same mistake that they did with Joe Flacco, letting Jameis go too, right, after this season, if he does play well?
Well, I think he will be making a very strong case for himself to stick around. And it's nice to see him have that kind of success. I think he deserves it. He's done a nice job since he left Tampa, really. And I think he's changed his game. Now, I don't know if we would be having the exact same conversation had Kyle Hamilton hung on to a pass that he absolutely should have caught. I thought the Ravens played their by far worst game of the season, and one of the worst games that I can remember them ever playing in recent history, especially against the Cleveland Browns. So, again, let's temper the enthusiasm just a little bit, see if it's something to build on, see what it looks like going forward. But we know why they didn't bring Joe Flacco back. They didn't bring Joe Flacco back because you could not have had Joe on the roster with Deshaun here, with the way everyone feels about Deshaun. So that was a big part of that.
Well, let's extrapolate this forward, Mary Kay. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, with the contract, look, he's probably going to be back on his roster next year with the rehab process that goes along. And I know this is a long way down the line, right? You know, if you consider Jameis Winston, it's one game, but if Jameis Winston does play pretty well, do you think that the organization, when Deshaun does come back, it'll probably be sometime in the middle of the season, do you think they still view him as the starting quarterback, or is it something that'll play itself out over the offseason and through OTAs, giving his health, way Jameis Winston plays, and the way the season unfolds?
Yeah, I think it needs to play out. I really think that it needs to play out. As you mentioned, there are contract considerations, and people have said to me, well, they have to pay him that money anyways. Why do they care? Just let him go, get him out of here, and they have to pay him that money. But it's not just that. It's cap charge considerations that a lot of people don't really quite understand how it goes. If they were to trade or release him before June 1st, then you're looking at a $172 million cap charge for next year, which is absolutely untenable. You really couldn't do that. And then it's still $120 as a post-June 1st designation, which is still way too much. So there is a world, I guess, in which Deshaun Watson will still count against the cap next season. I don't necessarily know if that means he'll be around, or if he'll be around as a backup or the third string guy, or you bring him in and just say, hey, just continue to rehab, or let him continue to rehab somewhere else, maybe out in LA or wherever. But I do think that they have to find another starting quarterback for the beginning of the 2025 season, whether he's on this roster, whether he's a rookie, whether he's someone that you get in a trade or free agency. I think that's how they have to play it. And maybe you have to leave Deshaun on the roster because of the cap, at least through next season, and maybe you could do something about it the season after that. But once again, physically doesn't mean he'll be here playing or starting any games for them.
Mary Kay, thanks as always. We'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Mary Kay. There you go.
The great Mary Kay. You can find her stuff on Cleveland.com and with the Cleveland Plain Dealer. The Cleveland Plain Dealer, by the way, broke the next story we're going to talk about yesterday, which is some of the new renderings of a potential dome downtown. We'll show you those in 1 second. But first, Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, unlike on other apps. With Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win to receive the bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game when you want. Bull, do you want to set up this next topic about the new renderings released by the city?
I can't remember the name of the organization. Destination Cleveland, was it?
Destination Cleveland, correct.
That had these renderings sent to them apparently anonymously, but the city confirmed that they did a study and had these renderings done. Can we post them, Mike?
Yeah. You want to see them?
So obviously, this is the rendering from a company that the city hired about a proposed dome stadium downtown. Now,
it'd be at Burke Lakefront Airport
on the western
west
end of the Burke Airport,
yes.
which is near the current stadium. It looks great. It's not going to happen. They talked about having. I mean, how awesome would that be? I would listen. I don't know about you guys. I'm not going to speak for you. I have no idea how much, what's better for the area. I don't know how many people actually know the answer. What is better for the people that live in Cleveland? What is better for the people that live in Cuyahoga County? How much money would this cost the taxpayers? I don't know any of those details. It would be cool for the Browns to have a new stadium. It would be cool for them to have a dome stadium. If you ask me, I'd say, well, yeah, it would be much cooler to have it downtown, build hotels, build residents right downtown on the water. Part of the proposal is to have this beautiful park on the other side of Burke. It would be amazing, but I don't know what. I wish I knew. If I knew clearly what was better for the people of Cleveland, I would pick that side, but I don't know. I'll say that looked awesome, but we know it's not going to happen.
This usually when we get in this conversation, it goes to God knows where. It just volleys all over, and you start getting into politics, all kind of good stuff. And so this is what I would like to say. This sounds great, but the problem is politicians only play defense. We've had an opportunity in this city to do something in that spot for years. And you punt. You consistently punt. You have the Browns. You had them down there. They had years to get rid of that.
Now, to be fair, the current mayor hasn't been mayor that long.
I get it. But at some point in time, somebody has to move things forward. We've been stagnant in this city for years. I don't like committees, and here's what I got a problem with city council. You knew that the stadium was not up to code and was not even great when we got here. Why are not the city councilmen working diligently to say, we messed up that time, when this thing is up, we're going to have a brand new plan. Other cities, the Chicagos of the world, the big cities of the world. The problem with Cleveland is we got this thing where we don't want to progress, and we don't want to think large, and we don't want to think bombastic. And we say, oh, well, listen, there's a lot of things we could be spending the money on, this, that, and the third. Unless you're willing to invest and do big things, you're not getting big returns. So this is a day late and a dollar short.
Yeah.
This should have been. This is a 2004 plan, 2005, Bull. The old Stadium 99.
Yeah.
We talking about figuring out what we doing 10, 20 years later.
I hate all of this because the freaking owner should just. I don't know how it became a thing that the community has to pay for the stadium that the owner benefits most from. I don't know that the community benefits at all from these stadiums. I don't know.
Is it like 100?
Financially.
Is it 100% set in stone, like that it's going to Brook Park?
No, I don't. No, I don't think so.
So until they put the shovel in the ground,
Man, listen,
it ain't.
that is.
But then I do agree with you. Like, you knew for a long time that this stadium was not up to par, and you decided to not do nothing about it. And it wasn't until he went to buy
They have
land.
spent a lot of money to upgrade it.
Yeah, but still, you knew everybody that's assessed that stadium has said that it was built poorly. It's not going to last. It's not built to last, and all of those things. And it took them. They didn't get aggressive about this thing until it came out. He bought land in Brook Park.
That's it.
He been trying to do this for years, but y'all ain't want to do nothing until he decided to say, all right, y'all want to do nothing? Watch this. He go buy his land in Brook Park.
I don't know that that's fair, guys, because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
I agree.
In terms of negotiations.
That's true. But from the outside looking in, that's what it looked like.
It just looks like we late. We always late. Like you talk to people, right, and they've been talking about that plot, that Burke Airport,
right,
for how many years? They were talking about it for years.
Ever since I've been living here.
And I think about how many years that is.
Yeah.
So every single year, we talk about stuff and we punt it down the street, right? And then election time comes around, and I got another platform. Nothing gets done. You know, if you want to revitalize, you got Shoreline. You don't have apartments. You don't bring commerce. You don't have other businesses coming into the area.
Well, all right. That's not completely true. First of all, downtown Cleveland is in much better shape than it was 13 years ago when I moved here. Way better. The flats.
They redid the flats for sure.
I mean, it's a million times better.
That's a fact.
Chicago.
What?
Well, I mean,
Chicago's a much bigger city.
But
they didn't do that overnight.
That is beautiful right there. I be telling my wife, look at
number
that right
two,
there. That is.
We did just bring Sherwin-Williams just built a new thing downtown.
Brings tears to
and
my
downtown
eyes.
is a lot better. And it's not. And listen, I don't know. I'm not following. No, but these things don't happen overnight. I'm not saying everything's perfect.
I get it.
To be fair to the
what do you want?
He's only been mayor for a few years here. You can't,
I think the city's better off, to me personally, if they did go to Brook Park and you knock the stadium down and put some stuff there. Like, why would you not want that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the city's better off though. We don't really know that.
I guess I don't.
My thing. Here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do I want the taxpayers to pay for Jimmy Haslam's stadium? No. But let's be honest, people. It actually makes sense
for them to go to Brook Park.
It's right by the airport. There's a bunch of free land that's just there. It's 10 minutes outside of the state.
Isn't it like a bunch of different ways to get there?
Right. It's infrastructure. And then plus,
you're going to have to do a lot more.
And think about it, though. Yeah. Even if you put that downtown, you're still going to have to do something with the highway.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot to do either way. And I'll tell you something else. When they build this new stadium, wherever it is, the regular Joes, they're not going to be able to afford to go anymore because the prices are going to shoot up.
If they do it, even if they do that one,
I know. Either way. Or I don't know. Listen, I can't speak.
I got to keep my job for 5 years so I can go for free.
Yeah, we got.
There's other things.
Figure that out.
I got to go for free.
I don't know.
I'm just. This is, and I'm just being a realist, man. I get it. We can talk about this all we want. These guys are billionaires. Let's just be clear about it. Like, he's already connected in the state. He already has the money. It's just the way sports is. It's just like it sucks. Like we talk about it all the time. That's why I always get upset with people when they say keep no politics. And I'm saying, are you guys serious?
Yeah.
This is completely 1,000% political. Yeah. Why would you not want to talk about politics in sports when at the end of the day, you're going to pay for it? This is more important than talking about wins and losses because now they're moving the team. So yes, you should be active. Yes, you should talk about who your councilman is and what are we doing. Like, don't.
1 week from today is election day. Everybody should go out and vote.
Did you vote already?
No, I haven't.
I have. Yes,
I have not. I have not.
I think I'm still registered up here. I'm gonna have to go.
Dude, you better know. You got to vote.
Hey, and by the way,
I think I am.
All I know is, and I know this is a much bigger issue, and I remember the first week I was living in Cleveland, and I drove through East Cleveland.
Yeah.
And I remember driving through East Cleveland, and listen, I've driven through.
I hope you had your dose, La.
I remember. It's not like I grew up in some hick town.
Right.
I grew up in New York City. I've been through plenty of poor neighborhoods before. All right, so I've seen my share, and I remember driving through East Cleveland, and I just was almost in tears, saying, "This is America. How is this happening?" And when I see the richest 1% of Americans just getting tax breaks, stadiums pay for them, and I know I'm some whiny liberal. I'm sure I'll hear all that stuff. I would think liberal or conservative shouldn't have anything to do with it. I would think the majority of Americans would say people shouldn't be living in squalor. People shouldn't be homeless.
Yeah.
Like, while billionaires get handed tax breaks. If every government, Republican and Democrat in America, said enough is enough together, then these billionaires couldn't get away with it anymore.
Well,
they like to pit us against each other, folks. That's what's happening. It's not going to change. That's what's happening. And that's why we have people living in squalor and people who can't even afford a freaking home in the richest country in the world. It's insane. And it just all ties together for me.
Well, look, there's a lot of people that, if you're triggered by, I always had this problem, right? Like, I always had a problem if you told somebody, hey man, go out and vote, man. You don't mention what affiliation, just go out and have your voice heard, right? People will say, they get triggered by that. I've never seen that. By the way, I don't care if y'all get triggered or not. Like, I don't care about that. My ancestors died for the right to go vote. So at the end of the day, I'm going to go tell every single person to go vote. If you're upset about that, click off today. Just go ahead and but at the end of the day, sports, and when we're talking about these type of economic issues with bringing it back to the stadium, is like, it's a shame because if we were civic minded, right? If we were civically in a place that we could be talking about these subjects and educating each other on these subjects, we would be much more informed when it comes down to the bill. So when you get the bill, people understand this is the economic issues that face inner city if they're going to leave that place. What are the tax ramifications of how much is it going to cost us? But when they keep you in the dark and you don't know anything about it, and they keep you thinking about wins and losses and Deshaun Watson's $234 million, forget the 234. We talking about the economic packages take billions out of the city. That's what the big thing is. This is a shiny object over here. Oh, there's a golden kangaroo over there. Nah, we talking about why everything in the backdrop. The Haslams don't care about who the starting quarterback is. The Haslams care about that billion and that golden ticket over there, and that golden ticket is what is on their mind and they're focused on. So I would, if I was the city, I think that if they wanted to keep this down here, what they should be doing is town halls. What they should be doing is getting up with economists and going around and saying this is the economic impact of moving it, educating your
don't know.
Your citizens.
Nobody said don't nobody know.
They just doing it.
I want to ask Tyvis this. We'll go around the horn, but Tyvis, had these renderings of what a potential dome downtown at Burke, had these come out the same time the Brook Park Dome rendering and video came out, do you think it would have changed a lot of the public opinion on what the right move for the Browns should have been? Obviously, the video came out, and that got a ton of ground support and swell because of the majesticness of the plans. But had this come out at the same time, do you think it would have changed the public sway?
Yeah, I do, because I think that it gives you everything that you want. You want a dome, and the fact that you could keep it downtown. Because I don't think people will hate the fact that it's downtown. I think everybody's just happy that the fact that they're getting a new stadium and it's domed. But if you could bring that downtown, I think people would be like, oh, heck, we can stay downtown. The businesses obviously would love that. You're building more retail and more hotels right there, so you're bringing more business downtown. Yeah, I think people would be all for that. The only tricky thing would be the traffic situation. That's the only major swing in that. But I think people would prefer to have it downtown.
I think people would too.
Because all the other teams is downtown, so keep all the teams downtown.
Mm-hmm. I think the people would like to have it downtown. I just wish that it come down to this. It come down to the marketing of the situation and how you want to do it. My thing is, I don't want to feel like they're just doing this to save face. You know what I mean?
Right, and
that's what it seemed like. Why did y'all should have been? You been knew about this.
Right.
You should have did this. When the Browns dropped that video, you should have dropped it the next day.
You should have dropped your diss track.
Yeah.
You got 24 hours to respond.
You got 48 the most.
The politics game is annoying.
Because it's like, okay,
it's too much of it.
You had that in the tuck for how long? We show it.
Yeah.
Let us see what your plan is. No disrespect.
Yeah.
Shout out to the mayor, but
that is frustrating. Go ahead, Mike. What's the question?
Well, that was the question. Would it have changed the public opinion had these been out there? Aditi said she'll be on in 1 sec, so we could just keep this going for a sec. But do you think it would have changed the public opinion had both renderings come out at the same time?
I guess, yeah. I think so. But let's face it. Most people that live in the suburbs, especially those who live in the deep suburbs, they'd rather not go downtown. That's the reality of the situation.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I think it depends on where you live. I think if you live in the city of Cleveland, if you live in Cleveland Heights, if you live, even in the inner ring suburbs.
But we're not going to act like it's a far commute. Like I say, the traffic situation would be the only difference. Because getting downtown on game day is not great. I was almost late. To pregame.
Trust me, it's much better than any other city in America.
They be blocking off the highway, man. And I had like 30 minutes to get up to the spot I was supposed to do for pregame. I thought I wasn't going to make it because I had to go all the way down, come back around, and it was a mess.
Not like you to be late.
I know. I was, and that's the thing. I left the house early. Good thing I did.
If you're looking at the stadium, I would have liked to see, not at the same time, I would have liked to see these renderings.
Yeah, a few years ago at least.
2-3 years ago. Right? I would have liked to see the economic plan to say, hey, we got money in escrow right now. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I'm saying? I would like to see the plan of, hey, if we legalizing marijuana in the city, we've legalized that.
It's hard for me. It's just hard for me to feel bad about it because you knew that they wanted something new, and you just sat there. And you want me to feel bad?
We don't know that they sat there.
I agree, but like I said,
we don't need to feel bad for Mayor Bibb, but maybe for the people that are negatively affected financially, the regular
I would
people.
feel bad for them for the fact that they didn't act on this sooner, which I can see why that would be a problem.
Go ahead, Mike. What's that?
I was saying, we're still waiting for Aditi. You want to do some super chats real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Any final thoughts on the stadium, or are we good with the stadium stuff?
We're good.
I will do super chats, and as soon as Aditi joins us, we will bring her in. She said she's still meeting with her CBS crew and should be done momentarily.
I got a question for y'all, too.
Perfect. We'll do super chats, type this question, and we'll bring on Aditi. Cintric says, Bull, wouldn't you get excited if the guards got off to a hot start to the season? It's always important when a team starts hot, looks good, and gets ahead of the other teams in the win column early on.
The difference is, and I said this, it'll change a little bit next year because the Guardians will have higher expectations next season than they did this year. But in baseball, it's hard to make the playoffs. And so even though there's a boatload of games, they matter because you never know. Even in July, remember was it July? Or when did the Guardians?
They had a rough July.
And the Twins tied them for first. Was it the Twins? Yeah, Twins tied them for first place. Funny, Twins tied them for first place and then didn't make the playoffs. That's not going to. We know with a near certainty that the Cavs are in the playoffs this year, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a huge difference. Don't you think?
I want to see if they're able to beat Bostons and all the other ones. They literally said that the only thing that was keeping this team back was the head coach. So I wanted to see what they seen, and I'm seeing it offensively. They still look good, and it looks unbelievable right now. Yeah. You're actually seeing the development of Evan Mobley. So that's why the regular season is important to me. Okay. I wanted to see the new plays on offense. I wanted to see the growth of Evan Mobley, and I wanted to see if DG could make it back.
All right. Mike?
Next two Super Chats. It's actually a funny combo of Super Chats. They both come from the Goober216. Let me read them both, and then we can address. The first one says, in my opinion, you start DTR for the season just to check him out. If no, then you draft a quarterback, have him sit and learn from Winston for a year. What do you think? Just an idea. Next Super Chat. After hearing the panel talking, I take back my dope Super Chat. Go Browns. So I guess we answered his question.
We talked him into sticking the
So yeah, that was good. Good job for us. While waiting for Aditi.
Yeah.
Can I bring up one more Cavs thing real quick?
I got a Cavs thing too.
Perfect.
What you got?
Ty Jerome, as of today, according to NBA Reference or Pro Basketball Reference's MVP tracker, is currently sitting in the 10th spot for the MVP odds, which is absolutely absurd.
All right, first of all,
Earl
tweeted that yesterday.
Earl upstairs going crazy like
that can't be accurate and up to date because he didn't do anything yesterday, so he had to drop.
He had 2 points and a steal.
Like I said, he didn't do anything.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, they update it every week, so he is still in 10th until it's updated again. He's been awesome. He's been admittedly a nice, solid guy off the bench for the Cavs so far. Yes. Is he a top 10 MVP candidate? But not even close. But it is funny that based on however their algebraic formula is or algorithm, not algebraic, their algorithm to calculate those odds, he currently is sitting in 10th place. Tyus, what's your question?
Well, I had seen that Bronny is expected to play tomorrow because it's the Cavs. And do you think is it because it's the Cavs? How many games has he played this year?
Just the first one.
Just the first one? So obviously it's just because it's the Cavs. So let me ask you, because I feel like when he played that first game against Minnesota, they went at him. If he's on the court, he just so happened to switch on Donovan. You think Donovan going forward?
Hey man, what you talking about? What you talking about?
Damn straight.
What you talking about? What you talking about?
That's messed up though.
I'm waiting. Listen, we about to screen the screener. Hey, we about to switch a.
You gonna force it?
I'm gonna force that, bro. Immediately. Hey, listen, and I will be talking the whole time. You better get your daddy out here. Hey, big homie. Your son getting victimized over here. This is child abuse.
You know Brian is not going to let you do that.
Come on over here.
Brian is not going to let you do that.
Look, hey, he's getting touched.
He going to tell Bronny, just play up high. Don't let him shoot. If he drive, I got you.
Hey, listen, where is your daddy at? Where's your father at?
Well, they had him checking like Julius Randle. I was like,
that is an automatic
and
switch.
Julius kept shooting the ball. I'm like, I would have put my back to the basket on dude.
I'm going to keep it real, man. I hope, listen, he makes Austin Rivers look nice.
Bronny?
Yeah.
You think he that bad?
He makes...
That's messed up.
They used to get, listen,
McNuggets, is that out of line?
That ain't out of What's out of line? They used to get on Austin Rivers.
Bronny makes Austin Rivers.
Austin Rivers was a solid.
So Bronny game got better from when he first got to the league till
Come on, NBA player.
Come on, man.
But who cares?
Hey,
it's nepotism. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. We can't accept nepotism from other people for 50 years and then be bothered by it when it comes to LeBron.
Listen, I'm not bothered by it.
In my opinion, nepotism is wrong across the board, but it's been happening for years. So I'm not going to get on LeBron for using his power when thousands and thousands of people have been doing that forever.
Well, he's going to use his power. We're going to use our power. It's called screen. Bring him over here so I can get him give him these buckets.
Has he scored a point yet?
No, I don't think he did. See, you forcing it.
Listen, come on over here. Like, let's
look, what Kobe do? What Kobe do? Y'all,
Does he go?
Hey, y'all get out the
Does
way.
he threaten the other team and said, "Don't block my son, let him score"?
Hey, listen.
ISO, get out the way.
No, I think he tells JJ Redick. I think he tells him when he's going to be playing.
Well, it's not like Donald.
I think he told JJ Redick, we at home. We in front of the hometown.
This is the first game.
He's going to get some
No,
minutes.
you had to do it the first game because if you didn't, it would have been the only storyline that mattered every game until it happened. They already said after this road trip, because the Lakers are on a 5-game road trip as part of their trip to Cleveland, he's getting sent to the G League when they get back.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's already made that clear. He said,
Of course he should be playing in the G League.
Yeah.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
let me ask you.
They've already
Is
had
he
that
going to be
plan
good in the
laid
G
out.
League?
So if he go to the G League, he got to play the charge. Well, Imani Bates is out. Dang.
Man, my boy. Shout out to my boy.
Imani Bates.
My boy, man.
Is
Come
he out
on.
for the season or is it just he coming back?
Now, he'll be back midway through the season.
My boy is out, man.
I want to see. Hey, if the Lakers team is playing the charge,
I'm going.
I'm going. When Imani come
going.
back, I'm going.
And I'm going to sit courtside.
I'm going. I gotta see that.
I'm going to sit
I'm looking
courtside.
up the schedule right now to see when the Lakers.
Oh my goodness.
Courtside at the charge game.
That
Me and
man,
Tyvus.
Imani Bates gonna try to go for 599
Are you ready?
points.
Yes.
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday,
Ooh.
December 27th and 28th, back-to-back games at home.
But Imani,
Oh.
will Imani
Charge
be
versus
back
the
by the
Lakers.
years?
Who cares if
Back-to-back
Amani's
games.
there? You don't
I
want
want to. I don't. What? That's the whole point.
What are you talking about? We're going to see.
I'm not going to see Bronny.
Why? Listen, we're going to see the G League's best player in the game, Imani Bates.
I'm surprised LeBron didn't force the league to make the Lakers schedule correlate with the G League schedule so he could watch Bronny play.
Well, I was just thinking that's right around Christmas, so maybe he pulls Bronny back up so we can spend Christmas with his son as opposed to Bronny spending it at home. But we got Aditi. Let me do a read. We'll bring in Aditi to wrap up the show. Guys, Hillsdale College is one of our newest sponsors, and time is one of our most precious commodities, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it more wisely to improve yourself? Well, our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free, that's right, free online courses, including Constitution 101, the meaning and history of the Constitution, Introduction to Free Market Economics, The Great American Story, A Land of Hope, The Rise and Fall of the Roman Republic. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced so you can start whenever and tune in wherever you want. Plus, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or just enjoy the lectures. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockdown to enroll. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. That's at hillsdale.edu/lockdown to register. hillsdale.edu/lockdown. And with that, we welcome Aditi Kinkhabwala to the show. How you doing today, Aditi?
I'm great, thanks. A little bit disheveled looking. I apologize. It's been
You
a
can't
morning.
get over it, Aditi. We got to let you go. Sorry.
All right, well, that's
Hey, listen, she was like, cut the check.
You don't even look disheveled.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. You look like an active
See you
woman.
next
That's
weekend.
what you look like.
Yeah, right?
I appreciate it.
Never apologize for looking
But
active.
can
I want
Can
to
I
like
give
me
you-
who
can I
sits on
give
my
you,
ass all
the
day.
craziest stat, though? Wait, I've
Yeah.
got a crazy stat. So
Yeah.
since week 15 last year, my crew has been on the call for 7 different backup quarterback wins.
In a row? Is that 7 in a row?
No, just since like however many weeks that is.
That's not a
like
lot of
Case
weeks.
Keenum won, CJ Beathard won, Andy Dalton won, Joe Flacco won. This past week, Jacoby Brissett won.
It's
Does
11
Jameis still
weeks.
count as a backup?
Yeah. it's
What?
11 weeks.
What'd you say?
Oh,
What is it that is it something? Is it something? Do you personally inspire the backup quarterbacks to play their best?
Obviously, I am the queen of backup quarterbacks.
You are.
It's about like people being written off, and it's like the life story, right?
Yes.
And some of us just kind of get better with age. And so that's what
Yes.
it is. So we can still kind of succeed the further along that we go. It's like fine wines.
I feel like
I
that
relate
at
to
30.
these people.
Feel just like that at 30.
Go away. That doesn't count. 30 doesn't count.
Aditi, what did you think of the Browns? Is Jameis, do you think Jameis could be the long-term solution? I know it's only been 1 week, but that was the question that Mike posed to us, so I want to pose it to you.
You know what? I think it's still a little bit too early to tell that. In some ways, you have a quarterback like Jameis, right? And you sit here and you say, well, you kind of already know who he is. But I don't know about that anymore because look, like week 1, we had Geno Smith. And there are quarterbacks that do indeed have great second or third acts or need some sort of maturation or need the right fit or need a different perspective. I mean, heck, Joe Flacco is playing better these past 2 years than he did for several years prior to that when he was done being a full-time starter. So you never really know. It's interesting is we know the Browns thought highly of DTR or Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So you'd almost, is this a chance for them to see what they actually really have in him? Or are they not really giving up on the year since the AFC is sort of so nutty? And do they believe that Jameis actually has kind of the higher ceiling at the moment or the greater potential at the moment for winning? And so do you ride that and see what you can do? Because you still have a great defense. You still have a great run game. Let's see what happens.
Aditi, I've heard a lot of people bring up Geno Smith and Sam Darnold when it comes to Jameis. I actually think the better comparisons are Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff, because Sam Darnold and Geno Smith were not good in their first go around. They stunk. Neither of those guys.
Okay, but where was their first go around? Where was their first go around?
With the Jets.
And what about Wilson out in Denver? Where was his first go around? I know that he's not playing right now, but I can tell you that Sean Payton is very bullish on him.
Right.
And so it kind of lemon thread here.
Wait, what? I don't get the Russell Wilson connection to the dude.
No,
Jets
Zach
guys.
Wilson. Sorry, Zach Wilson.
Oh, Zach. Well, but we don't know
the
the
first name when I say Wilson.
Oh,
yes, I meant
okay.
Zach Wilson, who was on the Broncos roster, and who Sean Payton is very. You ever have a conversation and like you say part of the conversation in your own head, and then you realize,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I haven't actually said the whole thing.
Well,
like, it was in my own head.
We'll see about Zach Wilson. Obviously, he hasn't played, but
we will. But in my own head, the part that I didn't say out loud is that Sean Payton is very bullish on him too, and so there's something to be said for where you start and where your initial fit is. But yes, you're right. Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, these are guys that did actually have success in their first spots. I mean, Baker Mayfield won a playoff game. Jared Goff went to the Super Bowl with their first teams. But sometimes you need a better fit. You need to grow up a certain way. Sometimes you need to be in a city that really embraces you and loves you and gets more out of you. So maybe that's right. Maybe that is what we're going to see from Jameis. I don't know. It's early. It's still one game in. But
it certainly is.
I can tell you this. He does everything the way you want a professional quarterback to do. I mean, I talked about this with Joel Bitonio 2 weeks ago, where Harry's saying, Jameis is he's taking care of his body, he's watching film, he's around his teammates, he's leaving late. And I know I've said this to you guys, or at least I think I've said this to you guys, watching him on the sideline, he's a wonderful teammate. He's absolutely picking people up in everyone's ears, paying attention to the tablet, helping Dorian Thompson-Robinson, or when it was Deshaun Watson, what he's seeing. So he's got all of those traits. And I mean, he's the viral star of the National Football League. So
that's right. And I think
I missed out on those interviews. My goodness.
That was wacky. But those
are ones where you just stick out the microphone and you get out of the way.
Say whatever you want.
Like, go ahead, do whatever you want.
Yeah, she handled it fine. The one thing I would say, Aditi, also, my comparison with Baker and Goff is part of the reason Baker was pushed out here and part of the reason Goff was pushed out with the Rams is that they were both extremely turnover prone. In fact, since 2018, they're Goff, at least coming into, at some point last year, I remember looking at it, they were 1-2 in turnovers since 2018. And Jameis Winston, same thing. He's been a huge turnover machine in his career. Now, Goff's gone to Detroit and hasn't turned the ball over. Baker, all of a sudden, the last 3 weeks, he's had 7 interceptions, which is terrible. But before that, he hadn't really been turning it over in Tampa. And now kind of you're looking for the same thing. If there's hope for long-term success with Jameis in Cleveland, it's not going to be about no turnovers. We understand that. Because he's a gunslinger type of quarterback. I get that. And the reason he had success is because he's not afraid to throw a pick like Deshaun Watson was. but the turnovers have to be cut down some from when he was playing in Tampa, and it was like 30 touchdowns, 30 turnovers. It's so if he can cut that down, yeah, he's still young enough and talented enough that maybe he could be, at least for a couple of years, a quarterback for the Browns or somebody else.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's part of what they saw in the upside in him, too, in bringing him in. I mean, the Browns knew better than anybody that you need a backup quarterback that you can count on. So, obviously, they believed in his talent and they did believe in his potential in this second act or in this later part of his career. So, let's see. I'm excited. I just thought that the offense looked functioning offense.
Yeah.
So that's sort of fun.
Listen, I'm like you, Aditi. For me, I gave the analogy. Let's say you get out of a toxic relationship. You're like, man, listen, I just want to go on a regular date. Maybe I'll laugh and have a joke with an adult. We can go to a movie. We can have coffee, and I'm not looking to get married. I just want to. And then you realize that, hey,
I like that.
This is what having a sane person on the other side of me is like. This is cool. Maybe we'll go out on a second date. Maybe we won't. But it just reminded me what good fun looks like, and I think that's what the Browns look like. How did you think Kevin Stefanski looked in terms of not having a play calling? I thought he showed more energy in a lot of different things. I enjoy watching him coach other positions and do things on the sideline. How did you think it went?
You know what? I'm going to have to ask you. I'm going to have to answer this after this weekend, because then I'll see it up close and I'll feel more comfortable making an assessment. I liked what I heard where people were saying that he was putting his head into other meeting rooms, that he was a little bit more involved than he had been. I've been saying this for years, right? Like, I wanted him to let Alex Van Pelt take over the play calling, and Kevin had been adamant that it was his favorite part of the job. It's what he loved to do. It's something that he thought he was really good at. But I've told you guys for years that I personally like the CEO model of a head coach, that the coach that can get into whatever room needs to be gotten into, can talk to whatever part of the team, any of the three units, be it defense, special teams, or offense, when necessary, the one that is available to whatever unit needs more of him. I like that model. Now, obviously, Kevin has felt that he wanted to hold on to the play calling. It's something that we see from a ton of head coaches in the NFL right now. I just, I shouldn't sit here and say, I know that it didn't work out for Ken Dorsey in Buffalo. A lot of that had to do with the way that they did not run the ball or stay committed to running the ball. But it's a second chance. And look, just this past week, I had the Patriots and the Jets, and I had such a great conversation with Todd Downing, who, of course, is calling the plays in New Jersey, about how he's approaching play calling so differently than he was the first time around. Now, granted, it's not working for the Jets right now, but a lot of things are not working for the Jets right now, not just Todd Downing. The point, though, is that you learn from your first experience. So while I did not feel as bullish about Ken Dorsey getting the play calling as I did Alex Van Pelt, maybe Ken Dorsey is a different play caller because of his experience in Buffalo, because of the ability to talk to his head coach, who is an offensive-minded head coach, as opposed to Buffalo. Who knows? So the hope is that Ken Dorsey is a better play caller here or in Cleveland than he was in Buffalo. And the second go round, he has learned, he's more experienced, whatever that can be. And maybe Kevin finds that, you know what, as much as he loved calling plays, he really loves being available to the whole entire team.
Aditi, it was interesting you brought up the run game, because it made me think about Nick Chubb. And, I thought he looked a lot better in this second game. Obviously, the more he plays, the better he gets.
We'd expect that, yeah.
Yeah. And, if running the ball has been something that Ken Dorsey has struggled with, do you think at some point we see Nick Chubb have that breakout game, or do you think you just got to continue to roll with Jameis with the hot hand and the wide receivers?
I mean, you guys know how I feel about this. I don't know that this is what the Browns hierarchy feels. I believe that Nick Chubb is the best player. I believe that Nick Chubb, when healthy, is the best running back in the National Football League. I think that your offense needs to run through Nick Chubb. I think in the AFC North, there is a style of football that you need to play. And that involves running the ball. That involves taking it to teams. Now, I know that there is a school of thought that a 3-yard run is not an efficient play. I do not subscribe to that school of thought. I think that a 3-yard run in the first quarter has all the potential to be an 8 or a 12, or with Nick Chubb, a 52-yard run in the third and fourth quarter. I think there is a cumulative effect to running the ball. I think that you wear down defenses. I think that you eat clock. I think that there is a mentality and a statement made when you can run the ball on another team. So I do think that you need to run the ball. It's an attitude. I think it's an identity. I think it is... there's a reason that they say that you pass to score, you run to win, and that's how you close out games. And I think that by virtue of who Nick Chubb is, yes, of course, we're going to see a breakout game at some point, but, I don't know. It's a mindset, and I don't know that philosophically the organization feels as strongly about running the ball as I do. Do I sound like I'm 80 years old when I talk about the run game?
You are so old school, man.
Yeah.
I'm a dinosaur. Let me tell you.
I honestly, as much as I am so against, like, you got to run to win and all that stuff, I agree with 95% of what you said. I don't agree that you have to win that way in the AFC North. I think it depends on the personnel you have. Like, I know the Bengals aren't playing well either, but they can't win that way because of the personnel they have. They got to play the way they play. They just, unfortunately, have a terrible coach. And I know you yelled at me about that last week, but I stand by what I said. He's a terrible coach. If the Bengals had a good coach, they'd have. If Andy Reid was coaching the Bengals instead of Chiefs, they'd have 3 Super Bowls.
I mean, you could say that about Andy Reid in a lot of different places.
Fair, all right.
But look, the Bengals have always run the ball well. All those years with Joe Mixon, I mean, there was a very, very good marriage of pass and run there. It's not like you can only, run the empties all game long. You have to be able to run the ball in some way.
I hear you, but the only thing I'll say right now in Browns' defense of throwing the ball, because I do agree with you with the Browns. They need to be a running team with the way they're currently constituted.
You have to do both. Like, look, I'm not saying that you have to have like 50 runs a game.
Of course. I understand what you're saying. They got to be a balanced team, a balanced team with a lean towards run. I just don't know if Nick Chubb is quite ready yet to be the full bell cow that he's always been, right? I think...
Sure, right.
Yeah.
That's fair. And you don't want to burn him out in any way. And I don't know if this would... Like, I would love to see him have a breakout game this week because that's how much I love Nick Chubb. But I don't know that... I keep saying I don't know, but this is sort of like, you know what, guys, I learn so much when I see up close. So I sort of feel like I'm eager to see. I'm excited to see. I will tell you this. I found standing on the sideline... 2 weeks ago or last week, whatever we want to call it, really maddening. I mean, beyond frustrating. I called Jason Lloyd and was just like, oh my God, that was the most frustrating thing to watch ever, because the unforced errors, the sloppiness, the general functioning of the offense, it was insane. It's no wonder Kevin Stefanski looks like a president, like he's aged 10 years and 6 months. So I'm kind of excited to see how the offense functions now, and I hate to say, I don't even want to say it because it makes me feel bad, but like sometimes there is addition by subtraction, and sometimes certain things, when you're not so reliant on just one person and everyone kind of picks up a little bit, things can just change.
When are you coming to Cleveland this weekend?
I'm actually not coming till Saturday. We're not meeting with the Browns in person on Friday since we literally just saw them.
Oh, okay.
So
gotcha.
We will Zoom with them, which I get to go trick-or-treating with my children on Thursday.
That's nice.
I'm very excited about that. Yes, it is very nice. And
is your son dressing up as Josh Allen for Halloween?
How'd you guess?
I know these things.
He was on the broadcast 2 weeks ago, Aditi, in his Josh Allen. They gave a nice little shout-out, showed him with your daughter and your husband as well.
By the way, Aditi,
how about, did you guys hear my play-by-play announcer, Spiro, calling my husband of the year
I
taking care of the kids while letting Aditi do her thing.
Did he really say that?
He did.
Oh yes.
Did
that's
you
what he
admonish
said.
him for that later?
I mean, he said it from a very good place,
Okay.
from a good place in his heart. It wasn't like he was saying while permitting her to do her thing. But
I don't think
I
he
mean,
meant
my
it.
mother loved it, and
He
I
didn't mean it
got
with
back
any
to
bad
my
intent.
mother.
It did not come
That
across
was-
with
yes.
bad intent.
I mean, there's
But
no
Mikey,
way.
my mother's like, in like the family group chat, my mother writes 100% agree. And I go back to my mother like, I'm not wife of the year when I take care of my own children.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
While I let my husband do his thing.
Now, if you know Aditi, no one lets Aditi do anything.
That's right.
Aditi's taking everything.
That's
Ain't no let in. Like
That's
they
right.
don't even have that word in the house.
no.
Let. Whoa.
By the way, I'm insulted, Aditi, that you're now calling Jason and I don't hear from you anymore.
I knew you
Jason
were in your
has
feelings.
replaced me.
I
they
knew.
know.
it
See how
was
they do
coming.
you?
You know
I'm a
what,
little
Adam?
See how they
insulted.
do
I
you?
knew your feelings. I was
My
waiting
feelings
for
are
it.
hurt.
I was
My
waiting
feelings
for
are
it.
hurt.
That's
We got 30 seconds.
No,
messed
last
up.
time I checked, hey Tyvis, does the phone work both ways?
Yes,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
does.
yeah.
It
Can Adam in
does.
theory call me?
Well, boy, I
Like,
got
does it
you
work
on
that
that
way?
one.
That's fair. All right, Aditi, we got to go. We'll see you later.
Free night.
See you this
All right, bye
weekend.
guys.
Bye.
Free nights and weekends.
Thanks, everybody. We're talking about the World Series on Overtime for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Peace.